It was Wednesday night last week, about 1 a.m. in the morning, when the fire department in North Kensington, London, got a call about a fire going on in GlenFell Tower. It's a 20-story building with about 400 people living in it. The firefighters got there in 6 minutes. However, they were absolutely stunned with what they saw. What started as a fire on just the 4th floor had completely engulfed the entire building into one of the largest fires modern London has ever seen. They are saying the massive inferno burned at around 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. They're also saying that it started from a faulty fridge. But a fridge could not create a fire like this. It has now been speculated that the major part of the fire was caused by panels that were installed to improve energy efficiency. They were filled with a foam insulation that just went up like a matchstick. It was pointed out that the thick black smoke that was pouring out of the building was the telltale sign of that burning material. Yesterday, there were reports that 30 people had died in that fire and that many were injured and taken to hospitals. But as of today, the number of deaths is looking to be somewhere around 58. Several of them were seen screaming and beating on the windows. One woman gestured that she wanted to throw her baby out the window. A man ran forward and managed to catch the baby as she tossed it from a high floor. Over 200 firefighters spent 24 hours trying to put out the blaze, but there was little they could do for the ones trapped at the top. The fire commissioner said in his 29 years of being a firefighter, he had never seen anything like this. Now, there were several Filipinos injured in the fire, but no reported deaths. However, there is still one Filipino woman that lived in the building that is reported missing. She's a member of the Jesus is Lord Church in London, where members are saying they have been unable to locate her. However, they are praying that they will find her soon. One London man caught in the fire did not die, but he sure thought that he would. Christos Fairburn said he was sleeping on the 15th floor when the fire started. He was watching TV and then someone started banging on his door. He heard the alarm go off and saw smoke coming up into his apartment. Then he realized this is for real. First thing he did was call the fire department, which they said, wrap yourself in a wet towel and get yourself out of there. But when he opened the door, the smoke was just too thick. He tried to leave 3 times, but it just kept getting worse. Then he panicked. He started beating on his window, yelling, help me, I'm stuck. He tried to open the window, but burned his hand on the melted plastic. He could see the people and the police standing out there looking up at him. And then he thought to himself, he was going to die. But rather than just stand there and burn, he wrapped himself up in a wet jumper and ran out into the hallway. But the black smoke was so thick and hot that he couldn't breathe. He kept tripping over things in the hall because he couldn't see. Then he tripped and fell flat on the floor. It was then that he realized that he was tripping over people that had succumbed to the smoke. When he got to the 4th floor, he was choking so much that he began to pass out. He knew that he couldn't make it, and he just collapsed. But right as he collapsed, a firefighter grabbed him. He was taken to the hospital and treated for smoke inhalation. He said, I can't believe I'm alive. I will never forget what happened and how traumatizing it was. I will never live in a building like that ever again. He goes on to say, I felt lucky, but I am devastated for all those who were injured and those who lost their lives. Life is so short. I know I will see my family and friends more now and appreciate the life I have. I shouldn't be here today, but I am. And for that, I am thankful. The Queen of England said, it's difficult to escape a very somber national mood, both tragedies in London and Manchester. The Queen said the UK has witnessed a succession of terrible tragedies in weeks. But put to the test, the United Kingdom has been resolute in the face of all this adversity. But then when you think things couldn't get any worse, it turned ugly as protests broke out in London on Friday from residents demanding more support. Between 50 and 60 people stormed Kensington and Chelsea Town Hall as members of the public said the homeless needed help right now. Dozens of demonstrators surged toward the entrance and there were scuffles outside as the one organizing the protest appealed to everyone for calm. The poor prime minister, who has had a horrible month, was faced for criticism for not meeting the survivors immediately after. Prime Minister May committed £5 million worth of clothes and food and emergency supplies, but was heckled with chants of cowardliness after finally meeting the survivors on Friday. Secretary of State said the criticism to her was unfair, though she is as distraught as anyone of all of us, and she has felt sadness. Can't see why people that angry. But to let people know that the Prime Minister feels just as much as anyone. On Friday night, hundreds of mourners stood arm in arm in a vigil and held a 2-minute silence for the victims of the fire. Many wept openly as candles illuminated, and the road outside Latimer Christian Center, just yards away from the blaze, people stood and stared. You're listening to The Jam here on DZRJ Radio, the voice of the Philippines, 8:10 a.m. on your radio dial.